Vanessa. Welcome back to my channel where you'll learn, laugh, be inspired, and find your community. Today I am walking you through how I edit my photos. I thought that would be a super interesting topic and for you guys to really see what my process is, what my photos look like coming in, and just what I do. So if you like videos like this, make sure you give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss any videos like this. So without further ado, let's jump on into it. My photos. I just decided to bring in a few that from a recent session that I had, that taking some fun photos with my friend in Magic Kingdom. So I'll kind of walk you through the process. I import my photos that were already pre-organized. I have a bunch of different folders that I have organized like per client, and if they're edited, if they're the raw photos, and if I decide to crop them for Instagram. So, unless I load them onto my phone. So I just use Lightroom Classic. There is the other update of Lightroom that I don't use as much because I like where everything is in Lightroom Classic, and that's what I've been using forever. So that's what I know the best. So that's why I continue to use it again and again. So let's go into develop. And I do already have my own presets over here. I have a bunch of different presets that I use for a bunch of different things. Like if I'm shooting with clients, I try to make them a little more lighter and brighter, but still like true to the colors, just by how I shoot, because I try my best to set up the shot as much as I can on site. So then it's not as much editing in the back end for me. So a lot of my presets don't look like there's a lot of editing to it because I try to set up the shot for what I know how I'll be editing in the back end. And then that way, any of my clients can put on their presets that they use for, or their filters, whatever they use, so they can keep their brand consistent. So I try to keep a editing style that's true to the colors and doesn't go too dark or too light. So then when my clients put their filters on top, it doesn't look super weird. So since this is a little darker, I'm going to start with my basic, which is kind of like my baseline. It lightens up the photo a little bit. It's a little more true to the colors of what the lighting was during that time. So, and since we're getting into fall, I bump up the warmth just a little bit. So it gives that color, it dulls down the greens a little bit and makes it a little more warm. And I try to play with the exposure to see where I like it, play with the contrast a little bit. And I usually kind of bump up the clarity a little bit, especially in these like fall photos, because then it gets that really like sharp accent of the different details. So this is kind of how I like it. I kind of play with it a little bit, and then I copy. So then it's super easy for me to just go through all these photos. So I usually kind of look in the background, like what's happening. I kind of don't like that's happening over there. So I'm just going to skip past this one. And these two are pretty similar. So I'm going to go with this one because the dad isn't moving so much in the background. And between those two, yeah, her eyes are open there. So let's do that. And then we get to a new lighting situation. Every time I have a new lighting situation, it's kind of like start from scratch type of thing. And that's kind of how I learned to edit from editing weddings, because you take a lot of photos within one lighting situation, then it changes drastically. So I'll paste what I had before and we'll see, ooh, that's really blown out. So we're going to play with the exposure a little bit, bring it down slightly, maybe bring up the warmth. The warmth is fine. Then maybe bring up the clarity, because my client here is her skin tone is very light, and so if I go too high, she's gonna be totally blown out. So I really have to like play for a happy medium. And I mean, that's with any client that I have to really play to their skin tone, so it still looks true to them. And then I just kind of play around. I like this one because her head's tilted. And sometimes if the lighting gets weird. And
And then I just go through the photos and kind of play with them and see which ones I like the most. These turned out so well, like I'm so excited. If you ever need those adorable photos, we're gonna bump up the exposure just a bit. Just make it a little lighter. Make it a little more sunny and less like dreary. Because sometimes it can be very dreary. Yeah, just that little bit of light helps. Make it a little more bright and fun. Any presets that they put on is pretty good from there. Okay, we don't need that, so let's go back to that. And some are out of focus, but that happens. And I usually try to adjust the tilt as well. But as I was saying, if you ever need someone to get those cute, adorable Dumbo pictures, I'm your girl. I will sit in a hot Dumbo and take all the pictures of you. Like even these turned out really super cute. Even though she was below, I think they turned out really adorable. Because then it's kind of like gives this vignette of my Dumbo. So that's what I try to do. I try to challenge all sorts of things on how I shoot and how the photo will turn out. Because you see cute, adorable Dumbo pictures, but I don't know if you've seen them like this. Just saying. And you even get Dumbo in the background here, which is super cute. And our last lighting situation to walk through. So again, I drop in what I was using before and kind of see where we're at. And I actually really like where it's at. Like, I think it's perfect. So it's a very similar lighting situation. I try to change my settings per different location, but I drop in what I used before because sometimes it's the same. So I don't need to change it as much. And really what I look for is like really dynamic photos like this. And like for this one, her eyes aren't fully opened. I try to look for things that are happening in the background, like the Dumbos are flying up, so that makes it a little more interesting. And her face is a little more, just looking at her body placement, that's kind of how I choose. Like, this is adorable, 100% adorable, as is this. I work with this influencer a lot, and she's one of my good friends, and she's like amazing at posing, and she's always like, well, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, well, you're doing exactly what I want you to do. So she just like plays around, and sometimes the photos work, and sometimes they're like, I'm only skipping past these photos, not because they're bad, but it's only because that I think that they're not as powerful and as cute. So this one versus this, like she has a little more movement in her arm versus this one where it's just kind of draped at her side. And there's also that, sorry folks, flying solo over there that I'm just like, I don't want that in the background. Not that people would see that, but I pay attention to those things. So like this one, there's a lot of active movement in the background as well as her, so I try to get that in as well. See, that would have been cute if that wasn't in focus. So, and sometimes that happens. And like this is very casual and cute. This one's my absolute fave. Just like looking at Dumbo. And then we have a few more of the close-up of the tea. So when I'm doing like product shots, I try to make it very close to, very close to the original. So if we reset, that's like the original color or very close to it. So when I add it, it just brightens it up a little bit. Like it didn't really change the color that much. So I try my best to keep product shots very similar to the original color. So as you can see, like it just warms up the photo to probably what the sun looked like when we were at the park. So anything I try to do, I want to stay true to the photo itself. So that's pretty much how I edit my photos. And then I just go to the library and I select all the ones that have the little edit symbol. I'm not exactly sure what the symbol is. Oh, it's been developed. That would make the most sense. But I just know those are the ones I edited, and I hit Command, hold Command down, and just select all the ones that are edited that I like. And usually I only edit the ones I like and that I'm meaning to export and give to my client. And then I just export them and call it a day.
I want to thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you learned a lot. I hope this gave you some insight on how myself as a professional photographer edits these photos. These are photos that I typically, and how I edit for myself and to give to clients. I typically try not to edit a ton, just enough to bring the natural colors into the photos. Sometimes I do use some altered presets on my own photos, but to give to my client, it's really super simple, so then they can put their own presets on it, because I know that they need to have their feed looking a certain way, and I understand that, and that's how we have the relationship. So I hope you learned a lot from this. I hope you had something to take away. And if you did, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what you learned from this and if there's anything you want me to cover in the future. So make sure you head over to Instagram at Vanessa Jordan Photo to follow me, because that is where you can find me. I also have a TikTok, which is at Vanessa Jordan Photo as well, if you want to check that out as well. So until next Thursday, I'll see you guys later. Bye.